tires were on the ice.
You can see the front tires spinning on the ice just
Right.
before. Yeah. So there was slickness. You can see that. It wasn't making white smoke or nothing. It was spinning out, on ice.
Right. I'm going to give an unpopular opinion here, I'm sure. I'm not seeing a whole lot of danger in letting that vehicle continue in its path of travel. I understand you were ordered by a cop to stand down, but I don't understand. And you can say, like Brojo said, what if she crashed into somebody after that?
She was already obstructing with her vehicle.
Right, but obstruction.
And her wife was filming it.
Obstruction isn't. I understand that. It's not a capital offense.
You're violating the First Amendment rights of other people to freely travel, peacefully assemble because you have a point to make.
It's still not a capital offense, man.
It's not capital, no, man. No, sir. I'll give you that.
I don't know, Downey Thomas. If the cop was like 3 feet farther away to the side, I'd be 100% with you.
Right. And I understand what you're saying, sir, but there's it's a fucked up situation.
Yeah, it's fucked up. That's exactly right. And I would even go so far as saying, if you play stupid games, you're probably going to win stupid prizes. It's my opinion is if the cops give you directions or authorities, such as the ICE agents, just do what they tell you to do.
Right.
That's what
It's safer for everybody.
It's safer. If you're just going to drive off like that, I think, I'm not saying that what happened was wonderful again, but if you do that, then unfortunately you're escalating the situation. And
right.
This is the kind of result that's going to happen from that.
I'm not a big fan of cops, but I would never do that. Put in the same situation, more than likely. Cop told me to stop. I'd stop.
You don't know.
Right.
Any opinion from any side that requires knowing the state of mind of the driver and the cop in question, at this point in time, I'm not interested in. We just don't know. We can speculate, but we don't know.
I will say one thing. We all are lucky, including people not in America, that the left wing in America isn't well armed.
Yeah.
Amen to that, brother.
Yeah.
They're armed. They're not.
So the problem is, guys, the problem may be that from the start that they caused her fear and alarm. She drove off, right? Now, the problem is they may have had no right to approach her. So it may not be that they actually, like, the shooting may by kind of mere fact of their let's just say the incorrectness of how they carried out their duty. They acted outside of their remit by approaching her. That's what Nuance is saying. They had no right to approach her initially. At the beginning, she was parked, wasn't she? She was just parked.
Blocking traffic.
They approached her, shouted at her,
She wasn't just parked. She was blocking traffic. See.
Well, no, hold on. How can you say she's blocking traffic when that white pickup is right in front of her, and she has to go around the white pickup to get into the traffic?
So then, if you look,
because she was the spearhead, she was the front of it. Apparently, there was others behind.
The problem may not be
whether
okay. What I'm saying is the legal argument may not be that it was in self-defense or not. It may be that she died unlawfully because the chain of causation started with an incorrect action by the ICE agents. They had no right to.
Yeah, I agree with
that. That is where.
Yeah,
that's where.
That is a possible. Yeah.
I disagree. They have, like Serb said, that's a federal agent.
But again, the point still stands. Don't play stupid games with this kind of stuff.
Right.
It could be that she was detained wrongly, unlawfully. That Nudie, you could be really right on that, and it could be an important issue. I don't know, but if that's even if we agree with that,
Yeah.
what she did was just dumb, in my opinion.
Oh,
Apparently there's
fuck.
been
Another
another
shooting just
shooting in-
happened in Portland. Rod said.
Does anybody
that's
know? Anybody want to
surprising.
give us? Anybody want to tell us what's happened there?
I have no idea. I'm not real far away from Portland. Portland, Oregon, I'm guessing.
So it looks like Border Patrol, 2 people, I'm just reading from Andy No. 2 people have just been shot by Border Patrol during an immigration operation in Portland. Wow, that's fantastic news.
Oh
Great.
my
That's
God.
That's gonna make things calmer. Anti-ICE accounts of,
So more-
Jesus.
This is how it starts.
Yeah, I've got that meme of the Joker, and here we go.
Wow, man.
Our
The brown
education
shirts, the SS. Soon we'll have. I don't know what to say. Only look, I'm not going to jest about it. It's terrible. It's absolutely atrocious. It's really sad. Is
True,
what I mean.
that's
It's
fair.
really
You
sad.
can jest. You can jest about it. As far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
We're callous at this point. We're pissed.
I'm just going to say America's not going to have brown shirts because the people that hate the Jews in America also hate socialism.
Well, it's not when they say brown shirt. I mean... oh, dear.
That's pretty true.
We're going to get a whole different thing.
You know, it's kind of funny. It's when you listen to these Antifa people and these extremists, and we all stick together, right? Yeah, the stronger we are together, right? The more power we can. Yeah, right. You know, the Italians have a word for that. I think it was fasce, is how you pronounce it. It's when you have a bundle of sticks, makes them stronger than the one stick, right? Yeah, that's called fascist, and they're the ones calling everybody else fascist. Isn't that interesting? Americans are so tolerant. If it wasn't for their tolerance right now, that we would be in civil war. But really, we're trying to find a way around it. We're trying to find a way to lead. We really want to do this the right way before there's something stupid happens. Because when it happens, it'll be quick and swift, and it'll be painful. In my opinion, anyway.
I was just thought about something. I don't hear, and I really haven't heard for quite some time, I guess, any of our so-called leaders on either side I don't hear a lot of call for uniting or coming together at all. And I think that's fucked up.
Oh,
I think we're
it's
past
because
the point of kumbaya. I think that ship's long sailed.
no, I think it's already happened. I think politicians have learned where the next voter bloc is going to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z is not very radical, and they are very fed up with it.
Here we go.
Well, we know that their presence is not welcome in the way that they're attempting to do law enforcement. We don't believe that it's law enforcement. We believe it is state-sponsored terrorism. And so we've made several calls over and over and over again for the president to stop sending goons to Portland and to leave us alone. Well, we know.
So I don't know, some politician representing Oregon there, is it representative? Is that it? Representative Janelle Bynum says
Yes.
it's state-sponsored terrorism from President Trump.
Yes.
And they've
the
asked-
fascist.
Yeah.
Republicans are fascist. It's the way it is. They've been saying that about them forever. It's not terrorism. It's enforcing the law. And we had 15 to 20 million people fled over here, and it's yeah. I grew up in Texas, and you know, we had Mexican folks there around all the time. Everybody, you know, it's just the way it was, and while there were deportations and things like that, but for the most part, nobody cared, you know, because, you know, Texas is Mexican too. But when you get a bum rush like that with what happened, and people like Venezuela, you know, emptying their jails and sending them north, and they commit atrocities here, it's insane. That's a lot of people, and it's going to take an industrious and an industrial grade fix. And It's not fascism at all. They're not going after people who are doing nothing wrong. If you're in here illegally, even if you're one of the good guys, okay, this is what happens when you have an incompetent former terrorist regime, which I think the last 4 years of what we call the Biden administration, former President Joe Biden, respect the office, former Vice President, excuse me. It was horrible. That should not have happened. That was the most stupid, ridiculous thing. 158 nations we found so far, representatives. There are people who wait in line. Our biggest imports here are Nigerians and Congans and Jamaicans. They surpassed Southeast Asians here as the most successful imports to our country in the past 10, 15 years. And we have to stop that now because of this stuff. It's wrong. And I'm sorry, it might come off like that to some people, and that's what CNN will say. But in my opinion, this is how it has to be done. Because we get a lot of crazies over here, and there's a lot of crazies linked over to bigger crazies with a lot of money over there, and that lovely Middle Eastern area of civility, and go make Iran Persia again. I want to end on that. Make Iran Persia again. I got to get out of here, y'all. Brother John, to all here, sir, good to see you too. Peace and long life. Y'all be well. Thank you very much.
Rock on.
Now we have, speaking of CNN, here's what they're saying about what's happened in Portland, Oregon. 2 people shot by federal agents in Portland, Oregon. Local police and FBI say 2 people hospitalized after a shot by federal agents. It's not immediately clear what their conditions are. Okay, that the shooting involved Customs and Border Protection agents, and they are leading the investigation. Today at 2:18 p.m., Portland police officers responded to a 10200 block of Southeast Main Street for a report of a shooting. Okay. Anyway, with this doesn't really say much here. Doesn't really say anything. Only that there's been 2 people shot. I read on Twitter it's 2 Spanish-speaking individuals, and it said they were running away or something, or driving away from the ICE agents. But hey, we'll find out, I'm sure, in due course, hopefully.
Well, this is the thing, again, it's like the fog of war. Once these events happen, both sides have their mouthpieces run the angle that they want people to believe, or it's just for their own side to consume. We don't know yet. We need to sort of just don't rush to judgment on what happened yet. It only happened. How do we don't know anything.
Indeed.
I just always ask myself, why am I being shown something? And then I look up information on it before I make a decision.
I didn't hear that. What was that?
Oh, I always ask myself why I'm being shown something. And then I go look up background information. So like that report, 2 shot by federal agents. Why am I being shown this? And I go look up how many people killed by federal agents last year. I go, oh, it's actually like not a small number. So this is right or wrong. This is normal. Why am I being shown it now and not 6 months ago? Oh, it's all politics. I don't care anymore.
And I kind of take the position that although it's interesting to discuss this kind of stuff, speculate, was it this, was it that? We just don't know until an investigation's done. And that could be a year, 2 years. Unfortunately, that doesn't work well for instant algorithms, but that's kind of the reality of it. I don't think that we can, we look at these videos, it's easy. These videos that we see, it's very easy to interpret them through your prefabricated lens on both sides or whatever side you want to take. So I don't know yet. No idea.
I just want to tell Nuanced that can't believe anyone can quote unquote accidentally kill because of fear in the United States. It's not just ICE agents. It's literally anybody.
Well, and how? I have a question. It's unreasonable for a civilian to wrongly respond by trying to flee in fear for their life.
You don't know that. That requires understanding her state of mind.
Right, but it's also like I could flee from a cop if I was in fear of my life of that cop. Like I have the right here, as far as I know, if I'm getting pulled over by a cop and I'm like out in the sticks somewhere where there's nobody else around, I have the right to slowly drive a reasonable distance to like a lighted area or where there's other people around. But I can't. I can't just. You can't have people fleeing or say they're fleeing from a cop because they fear for their life. It's not. It's not justified.
Well, nuance. But I didn't address the second one, nuance, because it's different situation. I'm talking whether can a killing be justified, rather than saying I'm fleeing from the cops because I fear for my life is just an entirely different subject. And,
well, like, and what's the end goal to that situation? If that woman was fearing for her life, do you think she was just going to go like drive another block until she wasn't afraid for her life anymore and then pull over?
well, probably not.
Well, and it's like DNW was saying. It all goes through her state of mind, and we can't possibly know that.
Yeah. And yes, it was well within their powers to approach her.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know the American law in this regard. And I understand what Nuanced is saying. And I'm inclined to sort of go, yeah, that's a really good point. But I don't know. I'm sure the law is really clear on this stuff. I mean, you say it was unlawful. How on what basis do you make that statement? And I'm coming from a point of ignorance. I don't know the law in America on this with this stuff.
In America, so they can, for example, they could approach her and try to detain her and arrest her if she was interfering with their duties, right? Which I'm sure that's actually probably the reason why they did it in the first place, being that she was blocking the road.
And,
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't have
well, the thing is, even if they're wrong, they still have enough leeway legally to approach you and detain you for a moment. Right? Fleeing from them is never within your right to do.
Well, it's never a good choice, regardless of rights.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't understand all the background on this, but all they if there was a brigade, what do they call it? If there were a bunch of ICE vehicles coming through that couldn't get through, and they had ICE officers out there saying, "Hey, you got to move. We're coming through," and you refuse to do that, they have every right to detain you or hold you there until their motorcade goes by.
Yeah. And even giving Nuance, let's just say Nuance is right. Right? Let's just say she didn't match any of the things that would give them power to do it. Like I said, they have all officers, whether they're federal or ICE or local or sheriff or whatever, are given enough leeway to approach you and detain you if they think you might be. Right? That they just have to think you might be. And then if it's determined that they're wrong, they're supposed to then let you go. Right? So the saying that they can't approach her period doesn't matter. If they even thought she was, that gives them enough leeway to approach her and detain her for a moment.
Yeah, my position is I'm going to wait until the investigation is done, and then read that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably at least another hour's worth of video that's not being shown.
Right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The fog of war stuff. We just don't know. And all we know, again, all we know is the act. We've only just seen what happened. We have no idea what was happening in people's minds at this point in time. Just no idea. And again, and another layer to that is I don't know exactly what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the constraints or the extent of how ICE operates in America, what they're entitled to do, what they're not entitled to do. I don't know.
Yeah,
Other people will. So I don't know.
All law enforcement officers have the power to issue lawful orders. Under lawful orders is stop. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, intuitively, I think you're probably going to be right. I'm not trying to be facetious or glib when I say you're probably going to be right. All I'm doing is I'm just saying I don't know. That's all.
Yeah, I'm just pointing. There's like a bunch of things being argued here, and to whether the cop was justified, almost none of those other things matter to that.
I really agree with that. I think that's a really important point. It comes down to justification, legal justification. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
And whether they had the right to detain her or not is beside the point, because they have the right to stop her for a moment.
Okay.
Right. And that's just where they were at. They didn't get any farther than yelling stop, and then of course she didn't stop.
Right. Yeah. And again, I've only seen the two clips, which the two ones that are circulating. I mean, I don't know what happened 5 minutes before she came on. I don't know what happened before those videos.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I was just told that ICE had been trying to arrest people, or did arrest people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a bunch of people around that like alert people when ICE is around, and then they tend to try to barricade and block ICE in.
Right. Yeah. And given her history, that may have been what she was doing.
Yeah. And they probably didn't know who it was, right? I'm not saying
no. That's right. That's right.
but
I'm sure
like,
of that.
Given her history, what's happening, what they were doing, and where her vehicle was parked, and that she pulled in front of them. Right. I think it's reasonable to be like, oh, she was trying to be a pain in the ass.
Right. And I take Nuance's point here. That if authorities act under color of law, creating a situation that didn't need to exist. Yeah, I really understand what you're saying there, mate. I just don't know if the law is on your side. I don't know. Again, see the investigation, read the legislation. I can't make a call.
I see. I would like if it worked that way the Nuance is saying. The issue is usually you can't determine whether it was unnecessary until the force was used. Right, the situation has to happen. There has to be detainment and interaction before you can go, oh, well, that was too much.
Yep. That's exactly right. And I'm sure, again, I'm just pissing in the wind, but there are no doubt analogous cases to this that are gonna that could just end up deciding the outcome, and it never makes it to trial. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a civil case. There's definitely room for civil action here. Absolutely.
Well, civil is actually going to be the hardest.
Oh, okay. How do you reason that?
Because they have to prove that they were operating well outside of their power. Right, not in a gray area, but well outside of their power, because they have qualified immunity.
Okay.
And it's notoriously difficult to do that for a police officer that's like actually on duty doing something. Like they were so they were arresting people and then trying to go away with those people. they were trying to detain her. That those were all kind of within their wheelhouse. So
Okay.
that's probably if a case is brought, a trial is brought, it's probably going to get dismissed immediately.
Okay. All right.
The
Interesting.
state might try to prosecute the shooter,
Mm.
and that is what's up in the air because it's going to come to determining this shooter's state of mind.
Right. Right. Exactly. I agree with that. And we're never going to be able to examine. Her name was Renee, I think. We're never gonna know her state of mind. That's never going to be part of anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the law. Well, yeah. I mean, we won't put her on trial because she's already gone.
That's right.
Right.
But we
All
can't
can
cross
do
her.
is-
That's the whole point. Like, but even if she was just trying to escape, I guess, for fear of her life, I'm not even convinced that would amount to anything in a court. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I think
because
that's what
weapons
it's up
weren't
in the air,
drawn
too.
before that. Yeah, again, it's these things are just arguable, and I've only seen 2 10-second clips, so that's all I have to go on.
Give it a week. We'll get at least one more before it goes to trial.
I hope so. I hope there are videos that show, even just a few seconds before, like what, because we can infer intent from actions. So if we can see even 5-10 seconds before, how did she get into that position? That would be interesting to see. I mean, it could be Ring doorbell cameras, that kind of thing.
Okay, well, I'm out of here.
All right, mate. Pleasure talking to you. Cheers.
Okay. If anybody else wants to come on, please do. Link is in the live chat. So
Are you sure you want
Go
to
on.
continue, mate? You don't need to keep
no,
things
I'm
going.
okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
All
Yeah.
Nuance,
I
why don't
mean-
you come up, mate? I think you're raising some really good points.
Yeah. Nuance, come up now. I've just shared the link in the chat. I hadn't done that. By the way, guys, I don't know if you're aware. I don't think you were even aware, were you? The stream went off air for like 3 minutes or something because I ended.
Yeah,
it
I
by
noticed
mistake.
that.
And then I started it again. Yeah, I don't know what happened on my side. It was just Anyway, I got it up and running again.
The powers that be don't want us talking about this, mate.
The Archons.
The Archons. Yeah.
Anyway, what was I going to do? Oh
I
yeah.
was typing in the shower. Put your phone down, for God's sakes. Good
Yeah,
grief. Give
yeah.
yourself a break.
No. The time is always now if you've got something important to say.
Oh, my
No.
goodness. That's so funny. I must stay connected. But seriously, come on. I mean, I'd like to hear your point of view. It's
Brother Marcus as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're right, Brojo. Brojo said maybe keeping the show going helps you. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not at that stage where I'm morbidly depressed or anything. You know what I mean? I've just heard
Right.
it's like a shock. But
Yeah.
I will say one other thing. It wasn't my closest friend. You know what I mean? It was like a friend who, like a group of people you meet, and like this, there's like a few people you're not as close as others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing. But still, I like the guy, and
Well, he
I
was
knew
in your
him.
circle. He was in your
yeah,
circle.
I
He wasn't a
knew him
stranger.
for about 3 years or so. Actually, no, I first met him in 2010, but I didn't really know him back then because that was when I was working in a bar, and he used to come in with. Funny enough, he used to come with 2 guys I was really good mates with. But yeah. So I met him years ago, but then I didn't really start talking to him properly until about 3 years ago. That kind of way. But as I say, no, I would call him a friend. I classify him as a friend. He was a very good guy in that he had strong morals. Very stubborn in his health. He wouldn't go to the doctor. So I can say lesson learned there. But I don't know. I don't know whether he was right or wrong, in that regard. Who knows? You go to the doctor these days. I just don't know. Anyway, look, I'm not going to talk about it because I'm just saying all manner of stuff. So I'll leave it be. Rest in peace to him, and I hope he's in a better place.
Absolutely.
Nuanced, you're on the show. Welcome. What is it you'd like to have
Hey.
the conversation?
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy,
Oh.
mate. How you doing?
I mostly said everything that I wanted to say. And like, for me, I guess I wasn't really talking about like lawsuits and all that. Like, to me, the law does matter in the sense of like justification as like we as a society view this situation. Like, if a cop approaches you, they have reasonable cause to interfere with you. Obviously, we as a populace can say like, okay, yeah, you probably should have listened. But I think most people would assume, why would an ICE agent have reason to pull me over? I'm not interfering with an arrest. I'm not suspected of being an illegal migrant. They don't have jurisdiction over that. So I can imagine how a fearful person in that situation would just instinctually try to flee. And so for me, what I was trying to say was like, as people were sitting here justifying that, yeah, the cop they were scared they were going to get run over. So they stepped aside and they shot the person. That's reasonable. And yet we are calling the citizen stupid or saying what she did was unreasonable. And that's where I was kind of disagreeing. Well, not kind of, very strongly disagreeing. Because, yeah, to me, I just can very easily see myself in that situation. It reminds me of like another shooting that was different. It was a cop shooting, but it was a guy in a hotel room, and the cop was like screaming a whole bunch of orders at him. The guy was inebriated and confused. He was doing his best to comply, but the cop...
I remember that. That was Daniel someone in a hotel corridor,
Arizona.
I think.
It was in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was scared, inebriated, and he made wrong choices, and he got lit up like crazy. And yeah, in that situation, I feel like people were a lot more sympathetic and understanding of like, okay, yeah, I could actually see myself in a position like that. That's scary. But for some reason with this situation, everyone on air was sitting there demeaning the citizen and saying like, oh yeah, this ICE agent was totally justified. And we just can't understand why the citizen would act this way. And that was what was really frustrating me, just like on a human level. Because, yeah, I will absolutely agree. Compliance is always the best standard. Even if they're doing something wrong. Like, I know someone who got beat up by cops. He was in the military. He got beat up by cops. He took it. He didn't even try to fight back. And he ended up with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Like, absolutely. That's a win for that guy. He definitely suffered the day of. But, you know, he complied. There was footage of it. And he walked away with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against that. That's obviously the ideal that citizens should go down. But I think it's totally understandable. And in the video footage, too, you can see she's on like a snow embankment. She's not fully pulled out into the street when she's approached initially. So she wasn't blocking the flow of traffic. They had no right to approach her. I mean, if she's getting swarmed by cops, well, ICE agents with guns, she has no reason to be approached. You know, she's not impeding an arrest. She knows she's not an illegal migrant. They know she's not an illegal migrant because they would have otherwise had precedent to approach her to begin with. Of course, she's going to fear for her life at that point. She's being swarmed. So she flees. And like, I don't understand the point that they were trying to make of, oh, well, she's going to stop around the block or something like that. Like, no, she's probably going to flee and go home because she almost had her life threatened at that point. Yeah, so that was just my perspective on it. I'm like, I don't understand how us fellow humans can't see how a citizen who has no training, no experience with something like that could make those actions. But we can justify an agent who's supposed to be officially trained in duties like that and de-escalation could use lethal force in a situation like that.
Oh yeah, cheers. I appreciate that. That's that puts more meat on the bones of what you're saying in the comments. I mean that incident that happened in Arizona with I think his name was Daniel. That was just horrific to watch. Just fucking, that was horrific, and scared the shit out of me, quite frankly. But in that case,
What scared the shit out of you, brother? Sorry, I just got back in.
Oh, there was a cop shooting where cops were called. Apparently, I think from memory, someone reported domestic violence. And
was this in someone's house, in someone's flat?
No. This was a hotel. Someone can correct me if I've got the details wrong. But anyway, this poor guy he came out of his room. The cops, there was about 3 or 4 cops, and they were barking instructions to him, which were contradictory. Like, don't put your hands in front of you, but if he didn't put his hands in front of him, he would have fallen flat in his face and all this kind of stuff. There was a lot of shit. It was a terrible situation that they escalated unnecessarily. And the guy was clearly not a threat. Well, I think so. Or the odds on. And he was intoxicated. In that situation, I think the cops, and I don't know what the ruling was in that case, I think the cops were responsible from what I saw.
He got off. I think they retired him.
Okay, he got off. Well, that surprises me. Okay, that does surprise me. So yeah, There's for the current situation, I was just thinking when you were talking, there's going to be no doubt the ICE vehicles have cameras operating as well. So that footage is going to come out, and if that footage will clearly show, the whole incident from the time that she came onto the road, what actually, all of that stuff, how far she was on the road, maybe that could speak to her intentions.
Yeah, I definitely agree that more footage, more information will lead to clearer, more definitive answers and conclusions that we can draw from that, and that we shouldn't necessarily 100% stick to any side at this point. I do know that there was a session that was being held right after this happened, and officials they put forward a motion that footage be released, and it was denied. And so to me, that escalated, in my opinion, my support for the civilian, because if they're going to be refusing to refute what happened with other footage, especially,
do you mean the footage from ICE?
Yes, they tried to put forward a motion for that to demand that footage be released.
Who put forward what motion?
It was they were holding a meeting. I think I don't know if it was directly related, but I know there was a session already happening because they believe that there was what was it? Like financial fraud in Minnesota or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it was either during that session or there was another session being held simultaneously. I can't remember the exact details, but officials were in session, and to add on to what they were already dealing with, they put forward a motion that footage be released, and the motion was denied.
I guess I think the footage will eventually come out to the public. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, the hope is that it's not doctored or edited in such a way to paint officials in a more favorable light, considering the federal, who was it? I think it was the press secretary. She tried to come out and say that there's definitive proof that this was an act of domestic terrorism, and that's why the lady had to be shot. So I guess when that's
her job, though, isn't it? I mean, that's the whole point on the other side of the equation. She's not gonna...
to make her side look better and justify their actions. Absolutely, but it's just with that lingering and the denial for all the footage to be released, and especially, when we look at their release,
it could just be procedural. Maybe they just need to do it
that
properly.
Could be. But when we look at the release of the Epstein files and everything's blacked out except for Bill Clinton.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's another conversation to be had for sure. Yeah.
I don't have the most confidence when they already deny for an
Oh,
official.
look, I don't think
request.
anyone has supreme confidence in the cops or the state. I certainly wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, just for me, I was just hoping to see more humanity towards the citizen that was, ruthlessly kind of gunned down. Even if we could say, even if one side wants to say they can see why the cop would act in the way that, or I keep calling him a cop, but he's an ICE agent. If
Okay.
they want to say they could see why the ICE agent would act the way that he did, I would hope that there's enough humanity to say, like, oh, I can see why the citizen would act the way that she did as well, especially given the acknowledgement that these are not police officers. This is not the FBI. This is not, CIA. This is a group that's supposed to be limited to immigration issues.
Yeah, I mean, I would, how do I say it? I would challenge what your assumptions are in saying those things. Ruthlessly gunned down, or again, getting into her mind what she knew or what she thought she knew or what she presumed about what was happening. But that being the case, I think, well, not I think, I will definitely say it's horrible. It's a tragedy. Oh, fuck it. It's horrible. There's no getting around that. There's no way. Anyone who goes, yay, she had it coming, good that it happened. Those people, I don't think, should have a chair at the table for the discussion.
Yeah, I guess it's fair to say ruthlessly gunned down was a little strong. I guess my perspective of it is that he didn't shoot until after he got out of the way and was in the clear. So for me, that's why I guess I view it as a little ruthless.
Right.
But
it may, but I think there are examples where, I mean, we can all make cases on either side, but the case that even though he got out of the way, the fact that she, and I'm using scare quotes because I'm just, for exampling, that she used her car as a weapon, that alone is sufficient cause for him to do what he did.
Yeah, one could certainly argue that point, especially without great vantage points. I
want to welcome Irenic. Irenic, feel free to interject as and when you feel like
yes,
it.
please do. I'm talking a lot, so
No, it's good. I appreciate you coming up, mate. It's also nice to meet you finally like this.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering if anyone might want to address, excuse me, my dog bark, the willingness of this woman to run the cop over in the first place. She did have to move out. He was shoved out of the way by her vehicle.
That comes down to intention. We don't know her state of mind. It is possible that she was scared and she was trying to get away. That is on the table. We don't know. Nobody knows if her intention was to run the cop down. We don't know that. However, as a matter of fact, the car, he had to get out, like when we just talk about what we see, it looks like he had to get out of the way, and it looks reasonable to presume from his point of view that she was using her car as a weapon. That may be a reasonable assumption to consider and weigh up. We don't know what her intention was, and that's a really important thing that I think we need to keep in our minds.
Did you see the video that showed the front tires spinning before they gained traction? And did you see
tires spinning before they gain traction doesn't show his state of mind.
If anything.
Well, and then immediately you see both cops' feet being forcefully slid along the pavement. Like, if you were holding against the vehicle and your feet were sliding because the vehicle was pushing you, that's what happened immediately prior to the shot.
If anything, I could almost argue that shows like a level of panic and that she slammed on the gas way too hard, trying to flee.
Yep.
And again, I won't discount, if I have to be unbiased, I can't discount the claim that you're making that it was intentional. However, I could also argue that was a state of panic that she was in. That the cops could have been sliding just because the ground wasn't stable.
Right.
The tires.
But the fact that she's panicking is irrelevant.
I disagree.
The
I
fact that
disagree with
she's
that.
panicking is
If
irrelevant
she
to the
panicked, if
case
she
of the
panicked in fear for her
officer
life,
standing there and the risk involved.
no, what I'm saying is if she panicked in fear of her life and was trying to flee, the tire spinning does not show proof that she was trying to run someone over.
I did an exhaustive
It
breakdown of
doesn't
the
matter.
video.
I'm not claiming she was trying to run them over, though. All she was trying to do was to leave. Go ahead.
I
Guys,
did
we've got
an
fact to the
exhaustive
matter
break-
here. Welcome, fact to the matter. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I did an exhaustive breakdown of this like 10 hours ago. If anybody wants to watch, and I did it in 50% speed, and showed and explained from the law enforcement perspective, when he made the decision to shoot and everything. So anything that she did after he made the decision to shoot is irrelevant, because people said, "Oh, well, she turned the wheels to the right." He wasn't looking at the tires. All that he knew is the vehicle was going toward him, and he was laser focused on her face. Also, people are saying, well, we don't know her intent. That's right, we don't. All that we know is her actions, and her actions are what got her shot. He didn't shoot in self-defense because of her intent. I've also heard, oh, well, she was afraid, but it was an unreasonable fear. I can say I'm afraid of something and
I
say
don't
that
think that's
justifies
fair.
anything that I do.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
think that's fair to call it an unreasonable fear.
It
But
doesn't matter what's fair. That's what the law would say, that is an
yeah,
unjustifiable fear.
what we were discussing though earlier was not necessarily from the legal perspective. I was talking about us as humans discussing whether it's reasonable, whether or not even reasonable, whether we can understand where that civilian was coming from and why she may have taken the actions she's taken. If we can sit down and justify what the ICE agent did and come up with all the reasons why, oh, he may have feared for his life, so he was justified in shooting someone with lethal force, we as humans also can understand where that citizen was coming from.
Well,
And
but it's not even a matter of
as
fearing for his life. He took the actions that were required by the situation, and maybe he didn't fear
why
for
else
his
would he
life
have used lethal force if he wasn't in fear for his life?
because fear isn't it. He thought that he was going to be run over, so the appropriate thing to do is to stop her regardless of his emotional state. She also might have gone down, if she's willing to run over federal agents when she's not even under arrest. She's only under investigative detention, and she's willing to murder federal agents. What's to stop her from going down the street and running over a bunch of kids that are
Oh,
trying to cross the street to go to
that's
school?
not an equivalence. That is not an equivalence. The equivalence, you're drawing an equivalence of her randomly
Totally
running
legit
over
point.
a bunch of students, young kids, with being swarmed by officers in what seems to be an unlawful detention, considering
Well, you're
she was
wrong on
not.
every
What if she
point.
would have run over another federal agent?
Yeah, well, you're wrong
She
on every
didn't run
point.
over anyone.
First off,
That's
you're
the
saying
thing. She did not run over anyone.
nuance.
That's
Nuance.
right. I'm glad she wasn't able to.
You're missing the point. You're using emotionally loaded language. You said, why would she run down random kids? Well, I don't know whether they're random kids or she chose them on purpose, but these are random officers that
It's
she's
just a
trying to
false
run down.
equivalency.
No, it's not. I'm not trying
It
to make an
absolutely
equivalency. Hold
is.
on. I'm not making an equivalency. You keep making all these statements that have nothing to do with what I'm saying. I'm saying that it shows her state of mind, that if she's willing to run down, as you say, random federal agents, then what's to stop
But
her from doing the
there's
same thing?
you
Because she
can't
has
prove
no.
that her state of mind was to run over those agents. She could have been trying to flee because she felt that
hold
she
it.
was
That does,
under fear
what
for
you're
her
saying
life
doesn't make
with
any
an
sense.
unlawful detention.
First off, it was not an unlawful detention. You can say it as
ICE
much as you
agents
want.
don't have the right to detain or seize U.S. citizens.
That's not true.
The only reason that they can
How long did you serve
seize
as an ICE agent?
what does that have to do with anything? I could
Because
read
you don't
the
know
law.
the law. You
Yes, I
don't know
can
the
read
law.
the law. It says that
Well, you're wrong.
the only way that ICE agents can detain U.S. citizens is if they're interfering with an arrest, if they're suspected of being
What do you think
an
that they would write in their
illegal.
report? What do you think that they would write in their report that their justifiable cause was? Did she show a U.S. passport to them and say, I'm a U.S. citizen, you can't detain me?
She wasn't under suspicion of being an illegal.
You're right. And
migrant.
so Exactly.
That
You're
was
making my points for
blatantly
me.
obvious.
So they didn't know she was a U.S. citizen then. So they didn't unlawfully detain a U.S. citizen. They lawfully detained for investigative purposes a possible witness, not even a suspect, a witness, to help with their investigation. She never identified herself.
With what evidence do they have to support that?
Is she within 250 feet? Pardon me, 250 miles of a U.S. port of entry?
That's okay. If that's what you think counts as justification, okay.
No, I don't think it. That's what the law states. The law states if it's within 250 miles of a U.S. port of entry, that they can detain anybody that they want. And then once that person establishes that they're a U.S. citizen, then they're free to go. If there aren't any other reasonable suspicion or justifiable articulable cause why they need to be detained. But she didn't. She tried to murder. Her first impulse when seeing a
You
federal
can't
agent
prove
was
that
to
her
murder them.
intent was to murder.
Well, I'm going to say again that it really doesn't matter what her intent was. All that matters is what her actions were. And her action was to fail to control
The
her
first
motor
action she
vehicle.
took was to run her car toward a cop.
Yeah. She committed aggravated assault with deadly weapon on a federal agent and attempted murder. And then we can, if she was still alive, she could argue that that wasn't her intent, but it doesn't really matter. She was taking the action. And again, maybe we should go, or maybe I'm DNW, I think is your name. If you want, I can do a 50 speed, 50% speed breakdown of the video.
Go on then.
and
Go on,
show.
brother. Yep. You can present screen if you want. Yep.
Okay. Let me, it's going to take a few seconds. You guys go ahead and talk while I'm doing that.
I just popped away, but just coming back. I agree that we don't know his state of mind, all that, but the fact of the matter is just the cold hard fact is that that actually is going to be irrelevant if it goes to trial.
Yes, I agree, but they were the ones who asserted that she had her intent was to kill an officer. And that's why I specifically said we can't prove that the goal or the intent was to run over an officer. Sorry,
But
I think I said kill.
No, I agree with you. We can't prove intent for anything.
I think I said
that's what I had said originally, that
it was to run over.
Her intent is irrelevant because all that matters is the perception of the officers at that point.
Yeah. In my breakdown, all I said was they're going off of what her actions are and imagining what the likely result of those were going to be. And there I'm presenting. I don't know if you're okay.
Yeah, go for it, sir.
Okay, I'll go ahead and slow it down, I guess. I'll do 3/4 this time. Okay, and I'm just going to let you know how it would read in the report. The guy driving is the one that makes initial contact, so I'm going to call him Officer 1. This is number 2, and then we're going to go 3, 4, 5 if there's anybody else. So the 2 federal agents and an Australian said that this didn't look like a police uniform. Again, it's irrelevant, whether an Australian knows what this looks like, but does anybody doubt that this person is clearly identifiable as a federal agent?
No, I agree with that.
Okay. He's giving her a lawful order, get out of the car. And by the way, they have police written on their chest. You can't see it in this video, but they do. Okay. Oh, I went a little bit too far. I want to show that I did it again. She's got her brake lights. See the red brake light and the white backup light. So again, it doesn't matter what her intent is. At this point, the vehicle is in gear to back up and she's on the brake. So because he's ordered her twice to get out of the car and she's refusing to exit the vehicle, which the Supreme Court's very clear, if a policeman orders you out of the car, you have to do it. You can disagree later in court, but you have no choice in the matter. You have to get out of the car. And she's choosing not to. So, and this is also what's called a probable runner. She's refusing to put the car in park. So he's trying to extricate her from the vehicle at this point. He's going to pull on the handle and it's not going to work. So he's going to reach in with his left arm to unlock the door.
No!
Now, apparently, this is the camera person that's screaming no. At first time I watched, I thought maybe it was her. But anyway, so he's trying to open the door. She's still in reverse. She braked and took off the reverse, and so now she's ready to go forward. That people are saying that she turned the wheels to the right. Well, at this point, they're still turned to the left. Okay, I don't think he's in frame yet, but this might be him. This is number 3 that's behind number 1. And so he's in front of the vehicle. He's coming to assist the primary in whatever he's doing. No! Okay, so that is him. Now, her wheels have straightened. She is going forward. At this point, he's drawing his weapon because she is posing an imminent danger to life. He doesn't have to be afraid. His emotional state's irrelevant. The fact is all that matters. The fact is she's posing an imminent danger to life, an imminent threat. She's going toward him. If she doesn't stop, he has his training, and there's a ton of reason why, is he needs to stop this threat. She's attempting to kill him. Now, you can argue about her intent. Again, I'll withdraw intent. It doesn't matter that she intends to kill him. Even if this is a mistake and it's an accident, she's failing to control her motor vehicle in a way that is threatening a person's life. Okay, again, wheels are still basically straight. I mean, you can't see it very well, though, the hub because of this, but you can tell they're basically in line with the rear wheels at this point. He's drawn, he's presented his pistol, he is laser focused on her face. From the time that he walked up, he didn't even look down at the tires, so he isn't even, that isn't even an issue. He's looking at her, and she's driving forward, so he's going to shoot the target. He probably couldn't even tell the color of this guy's head covering or if anybody was in the passenger seat. He's laser focused on her face. And this is the moment I believe that he has made the decision to shoot. He's already pushing on the trigger. And so anything that happens from this point out is irrelevant, because this is the moment in time that he made the decision to shoot. And people say, oh, about him getting out of the way. I made the point earlier. You know, it's a slick road. As we see the car pull away, we'll see this officer's feet slide around. So again, she's really not very much in control of the vehicle. You know, she's got a 3-ton, what I'm going to call an assault vehicle, because people like calling a modern sporting rifle an assault weapon. But her tires could slide any which way. And so that, I mean, she could take them both out if it slid the wrong way and knocked them over. But anyway, so we'll see now. Pop, pop, pop. Okay, it was only, people say, oh, he was off to the side. Actually, when he started shooting, he was in front of her. The vehicle actually hit him and knocked him over to the side. So he wasn't over to the side at the time he decided to shoot. If she knocked him out of the way later, again, it's irrelevant. So I'm happy to take questions.
I mean, I don't necessarily have questions, but I just fundamentally disagree. I feel like if you claim imminent threat of life, and yet if that were the case, I would presume that officer would be a lot more injured by her actions. You could say he had the fear of imminent threat of life, but I don't think her actions actually posed imminent threat of life. He easily could have gotten out of the way. He positioned himself in front of the car and kept himself positioned in front of the car even while it was moving in reverse. When you say it was pointed, the tires were pointed left, when you're backing up and your tires are pointed left, it's actually positioning herself, the vehicle, away from the officers, not towards them. She wasn't going forward with her wheels.
Could I interject?
That would have been going towards her. Can
I answer any of those before we go too far and I stop forgetting? Because I agree with some of what you're saying. I agree. When he stepped in front of the vehicle, she was backing up. So he was not putting himself in danger because she was going the opposite direction. She's the one that put him in danger when she put the gear from reverse to drive. As far as putting the tires to the left, you're right. She was backing away from him. That's not the problem. When she went forward, that became the problem. Go ahead with whatever else.
I just wanted to make a point. Remember, all this was happening while the first officer that approached her was verbally telling her, get out, stop the car. He's interdicting inside the vehicle, trying to open the door. She's ignoring all that. She backs up, puts it in drive, and takes off. She's now at this point, she's resisting arrest.
Yes.
And for what? And they don't know.
Resisting arrest, aggravated assault with deadly weapon against a federal agent, attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, fleeing the scene. I mean, there's a list of charges that could be, against her.
Yeah, I don't think you could prove attempted murder.
The tragedy is is just stupid. The woman was stupid. That's the tragedy.
But I don't think the legal standard is whether he thought he was going to get killed or not. That's not the legal standard.
You're correct. It's not. And Nuance's thing about saying, "Oh, you couldn't prove that she was trying to murder him." Well, I believe a reasonable person could foresee that if you drive a 3-ton vehicle and a 180-pound man, chances are that's going to do him grievous bodily injury, possible death. If I stab somebody in the chest, am I attempting to murder them? Well, if I nick an artery, it would kill them. If I just end up, putting it in their liver or their fat, they may survive it, but I still tried to kill them.
Yeah, but that's where I lose. That's where I disagree with you, because stabbing someone is obviously an intent to cause injury. We don't know her state of mind. So you can't say it's irrelevant, but at the same time compare it to a stabbing. I don't think that's the way it works.
I think that's all irrelevant. Yes, it's like you shouldn't fall into that trap, Hillary's.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think the issue can be discussed without referring to her state of mind. So
you're right. And that's why, and I know you guys are only going off what I'm saying here, but earlier I made the case she was committing felony murder, which is if you're in the commission of a felony and someone dies, that's felony murder. So it does the only intent that matters then, and people had an argument with that. But the only matter is if you were committing a crime, that is the intent.
What felony was she committing?
Felony evading.
Okay.
Or aggravated assault on law enforcement.
Okay. Yeah, without checking the law itself, I intuitively I understand what you mean. I know what you're driving at.
And also, as a justification for committing a crime is a affirmative defense. So at trial, she would have to prove what her mental state was, but the legal standard is justifiable fear. And just because a policeman is walking up to you and giving you a lawful order does not place you in justifiable fear of your life. Again, the Supreme Court's very clear. You are required to exit your vehicle.
Hillary,
Yeah,
can I ask you?
I agree that that's going to be the standard. Yeah.
Can I ask you? It's not really related, but it's kind of related. What was your opinion of the George Floyd death? Was the officer wrongly convicted in your mind, or was he guilty of killing George Floyd? Go ahead.
I think that the wrong officer was convicted. The two that were kneeling on his lower back were the two that were causing positional asphyxia. And I don't know what training they got. It came out later that the assistant chief of police committed aggravated perjury when she said that was not part of their training, when it very clearly was, and they've shown the manual and stuff since then. But in my training, we were taught, don't keep a person on the ground any longer than necessary. Always get them into an upright seated position to prevent, positional asphyxia. Do not lay on their lower back. Once they're in handcuffs, get them seated as quickly as possible. And if you have to kneel on the back of their neck or the back of their shoulders, that's actually not going to put them in danger of losing their life. But kneeling on their lower back prevents their diaphragm from inflating their lungs, and that will strangle them.
So you're a cop?
I was 12 years, yes.
Okay. Yeah, Derek Chauvin was. I'm personally not convinced that he's guilty. I'm not, in my opinion. I'm not sure I would have gone with beyond a reasonable doubt on that one.
Yeah, the whole thing was a show trial, and they had
The fix
so
was
many
in.
Pardon?
The fix was
Well,
in on that case. I mean,
well,
there
yeah,
was no way he was going to be found innocent.
but even aside from the fixes in and that kind of rhetoric, my understanding, you know, having looked at it a bit in retrospect after it all went down, I'm not sure that if I was on the jury, I would have gone with beyond reasonable doubt. I don't think I could have got there.
Well, this shooting to me brings up this whole issue of what responsibility a person has, like me or you, to not put themselves in a fucking situation like that. And if you do put yourself in the situation, why? You know, I'm kind of sick and tired of people crying over people that put themselves in the fucking situation that, you know, inevitably leads to that shit. Go ahead.
You bring up a good point. If a person is in imminent fear just by being in public, then they should not be in public. If a person can't control their motor vehicle, they don't belong behind the wheel. So this person took on the responsibility. Once she went into public, she needs to comply with the law. Once she gets in a motor vehicle, she needs to control it and not, you know, run people over.
Well, just this other brother earlier had mentioned all these videos, thousands of videos that he'd, you know, watch where, you know, whatever black drug dealers or whatever, they're commanded to get over and they try to take off and shots are fired. It's like it is I think pretty much anyone. I don't know. I mean, you have to be pretty ignorant to think you can just flee from cops that are arresting you and you're not going to put your life in danger by fleeing. I don't understand that.
Sadly, that's what a lot of people are taught, though. They're taught that the cops are idiots, that they're bumbling fools, that they just want to collect a paycheck and don't care about risking anything to help protect the community. And there's all different people. They're human beings. So 20% of them are probably incompetent. Another 20% just want to pick up a paycheck. 20% are gung-ho bullies that, you know, want to cause problems. And then you got, you know, the rest that, you know, want to do their job, want to help people out, got into the job either because of a family legacy of trying to help the community or because something happened earlier in their life that made them want to either help people or put away bad guys.
What was your case?
I saw a lot of abuses, and so I thought I would go in and clean up the system.
How did that work out?
Not very well.
Well, yeah.
I mean, your point about the reverse lights, I'd missed that originally. I think that's actually very relevant. Yeah, that shows she's not intending to stop. She is intending to move.
And the cop that was in her window didn't need to see those lights. He knew what was going on in real time. He you know, he could see her backing up. He knows the shift is in reverse, and then he can see her
You don't even
shifting.
need to know what he knows about what she was thinking, or even if he saw inside and saw the.
No, I'm talking about the
gear. He doesn't need to know that.
I was talking about the cop that did, not the cop that shot her, but the guy in the window interdicting inside her vehicle. It's like, come on.
Yeah. My comments were in that regard to him.
Okay.
Yeah, he's saying that it really doesn't matter what he knew or that because he really didn't participate much other than trying to open the door. So what he knew or didn't know, he wasn't able to communicate to anybody else.
Yeah, I'm just saying everybody right there knows kinetically that the vehicle's moving. His arm is in the moving vehicle. He knows it's, you know, he's well aware of what's going on. And both the guy in the front is also. I mean, you know, these guys are keen. They're on high, you know, all of a sudden they're on high alert, right?
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous situation if you don't follow commands.
Yeah, someone asked me earlier why none of the other cops shot, why only that one? And, you know, I said, first off, he was right there. You know, he had the best eye view. Pardon me. But also the guy that was to the by the door, I don't think he ever looked over and actually saw where the other guy's position was. He was about
Right.
120 degrees to the guy's left. His peripheral vision might not have even been good enough to know he was there.
Not to mention his concentration wasn't focused on the periphery to his left. You know, he was actively looking, and he needed to be watching this woman.
Yeah, he was focused on his task to the exclusion of others, and that's understandable.
This is just this whole thing is a stupid incident where this is what happens when you get stupid. But in a political environment where there's people want to make grift off of this. That's all that's going on here.
Yeah, this is so textbook and so obvious that the police did everything perfectly right that I'm just shocked that anyone would try to say that they did anything wrong. And then that really makes me question like their ability to serve on a jury or to vote, because
Absolutely.
if they're the narrative in their head is so skewed that the cops are always wrong, and they should somehow be able to turn back time and do things differently or second guess what she's going to do. It just blows my mind. It also makes me wonder, have those people ever been in a position where their life was imminently threatened? Because when you get an adrenaline dump, you're hyper-focused. You're not thinking all these other things. It has to be very simple.
I'd like to ask you a question, if that's all right, because you were a cop, so you know better than me. The guy, so I think you called him cop number 2. He was the guy who tried to open the door.
No, that was number 1.
Sorry, okay. So number 1 opened the door. Once, let's take out of the equation that anyone felt threatened or their life was threatened or there was any potential for injury. Once a cop or an enforcement officer tries to open your door and has given you a command to stop and get out, are authorities entitled to use lethal force if that person tries to drive away, regardless of imminent injury possibilities?
The standard is that they have to be posing an imminent threat to human, So
just driving away is not enough to pull your weapon out. Okay.
No. I gave the example of if a person just robbed a bank and they're running away from the bank with a pistol, if they're running into an empty parking lot, then you're not able to shoot them to stop them because they're not imminently threatening anybody. But if they're running at a group of school kids, then you can shoot them, but you better hit, your target, because if you miss, you're probably going to go to prison if you accidentally even wound one of the kids.
All right. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, cheers. Nuanced, any thoughts?
All of a sudden, I'm thinking about Quigley Down Under. Wasn't there some fine long shots made in that movie? Anyways.
No, I think I've said all my thoughts. I don't think they had justifiable cause in the first place. That they could prove that they had justifiable cause to force her to exit her vehicle in the first place. I guess they could rely on some loose interpretation of that to say that anyone walking on the street within whatever that distance was is a target for justifiable search and seizure. But I think that's just a very broad, vague, and dangerous interpretation of that Fourth Amendment right.
Do you mind if I ask, just within 5 years, how old you are? Like 20, 30, 40,
I don't
50?
feel comfortable answering that.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering how
What generation are you?
I don't feel comfortable answering that.
Okay, that's fine. I was just wondering. But you use very emotionally loaded language, saying a loose interpretation. The Supreme Court is very strict, stringent in what they say, and that is, if you're ordered out of a vehicle, you must comply. You can argue later in front of a judge, but at that point, there is no wiggle room. And it doesn't matter if you feel threatened or anything else. None of that matters. Once you're ordered out of the vehicle, you have to get out. There's no lawyering involved. And then you're saying loose interpretation of 250 miles. Again, that's pretty clear cut. Either they're within 250 statute miles or they're not. And if they
No,
are,
I understand that, but I think that that's a very loose interpretation for actual probable cause to pull someone over. And
Didn't
I
her
agree that
actions
you should
blocking
always
them?
I think that you should agree. I agree that the standard and what I would do 100% is to comply with orders, regardless of whether they're lawful or not, within a certain degree. Like if someone tries to, sexually assault you, obviously not. Don't comply with those
right?
orders. But I absolutely 100% agree that the standard that everyone should follow, especially if you're going to go to a protest or something where you're speaking out against something, everyone should always be prepared to face certain situations that require acting
I would
in
even
a
say
rational way, such as complying with orders. But
legally and ethically, under social contract theory, if you're going to put yourself in public, you need to follow the law. I mean, this is based upon community standards, and the voters and taxpayers are the ones that decide what the law is. And so,
right,
if
I'm
you're going to go out,
disagreeing that actual probable cause was present to force someone out of their vehicle.
okay, but you
Again,
don't need probable cause again
you're
because you don't
saying
because you
valid
don't know the
probable
law. You're
cause is
applying
just
standards because you
you're
don't know the law.
arguing valid probable causes
No, I never
anywhere
said probable cause.
within a certain region
No,
of
that's
a
not probable
order.
cause.
Okay. Anyways, so what I was saying is that I disagree from what I've understood of the Fourth Amendment right is that immigration officials need probable cause relating to migration issues in order to take you out of your vehicle, regardless of whether they have it or not. Probably should have complied just to be safe and then challenge that in the court later. I already said that earlier as well. I also disagree with imminent threat to life, and I stated that earlier, but those were all I had. That's all I had to say, which is why I wasn't speaking earlier, because it's obvious we disagree on these issues and we're not going to come to a shared understanding or agreement on it. So
I encourage everyone to investigate these topics as much as they'd like, because you're saying things that are totally irrelevant. They don't need probable cause in order to investigate a crime that may have or be currently being committed. That's not the issue. This is an investigative detention. It's not a seizure. It's not an arrest. And then you're saying 250 miles is a very loose interpretation. I think it's a very hard and fast number, 250 miles. Either you're within it or you're beyond it. So there's no loose. There's no, 2/3 and something else. It's very clear, 250. There's nothing loose about that. And then you're saying all this other stuff about probable cause and justification. And I think that you're just misusing these terms.
I'm going to have to agree with that.
Does a person's view on the immigration issue during the Biden years, like let's say, is there a correlation between how you're going to look at the situation and how you view the immigration situation, do you think?
I was hoping somebody else to go first, but 100% yes. I think that is definitely going to color their perspective, and people are going to reject objective facts and what we can see. And in some cases, people are even going to reject the law and say, well, I don't like the law. Well, that's fine. Then go ahead and form a political action group. You can either petition Congress or you can run for Congress. There's all kinds of things you can do to change the law. But the fact is, the law is what it is, and there are reasons why it is what it is. If you're familiar with, the case history of why the laws get to be the way that they are, you'd better understand why we have the laws the way that they are. And again, these are jury trials that have honed these regulations and policies and everything else. So again, if you don't like it, blame your fellow citizen, because them serving on juries is what has helped, shape these policies and laws.
I'm just kind of pointing out this is all taking place in a lot larger context of, blue states, red states, the legal immigration, ICE, the hatred of Donald Trump, throw that in there, all this stuff, it's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. I've heard a couple of people throw in ethnicity. And so I ask, well, if a ethnically Mexican policeman shoots a lily white girl, is that because she was too dark? Because that was what they said. And that's what, the girl in this situation is practically paper white. And I'm not sure about the current numbers, but I know when I was applying for Border Patrol, it was majority Hispanic. So, I mean, these are not, lily white people that are out doing Border Patrol. These are people with either recent family members that have come here or something like that. Most of them grew up speaking Spanish in their home. These aren't colonizers or any of that kind of nonsense.
You are in Tejas.
I am.
Yeah, I think it's, just from my background, there's a difference between imagining or thinking what you believe the law should be compared to what the law actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think law is one of those things where you don't need to be qualified to understand it, but there's a state of mind that you look. To be honest, when I went to law school, my first year of law school, I just didn't get it. I was just like, what the fuck is all? I just don't understand this way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But then my second year, I got it. I was like, oh, that's the way it's done. That's the way these people think. That's the way it works. And once I clicked into that mindset, okay, now it makes sense. It is a mindset.
Right. And there's also a way to read the law. People think it's written in English. The words look like English, but, they have their specific meaning. Even, there are 8 different definitions of what a child is under Texas law. So that's why certain words will be defined at the beginning of a chapter. It'll say under this chapter, child has the meaning assigned by Texas Motor Vehicle Code, blah, blah, blah. A person who has not yet attained their 2nd birthday, or their 4th birthday, or their 10th, or their 14th, or 16th, or 17th, or 18th, or 21st.
Okay. Somebody in the chat wants us
I was
to watch
going to
this
say
video.
back to your.
I don't know what it is.
What is coming? Get here, guys. We need you in Minnesota. These people are fucking terrorists. Patriots, get out here. We need to back up. And all you liberal commie motherfuckers, keep your hands to yourself or you're gonna get hurt today, all right? We executed one of you yesterday. You understand that? We executed one of you yesterday.
Don't get hurt. Don't give them the press. You're just talking to white supremacists.
You guys keep getting stupid games. You're gonna keep getting stupid
Do not
prizes.
give them attention.
You guys keep getting stupid games. You're
Do
gonna
not
keep
feed
getting
the
stupid
troll.
prizes. The storm is here. When we come, one, we go all. No one can stop what is coming.
That guy is an idiot.
I mean, the guy's a lunatic. The guy's a fucking
Yeah.
nutcase. What more needs to be said?
Yeah.
What more needs to be said about that? I mean, that's not sanctioned. That's not supported. Surely. I mean, come on.
No, at first I even wondered if the guy was LARPing, just trying to agitate the crowd, but that guy seems mentally ill.
But I think there is support for that. I think.
I mean,
unfortunately,
we've got a police officer here. How would you deal with someone like that?
Well,
I mean,
in that specific situation, he has a First Amendment right. But if the crowd wanted to surge forward and beat the crap out of him, I don't know if I'd be real quick to go assist him.
Yeah, yeah. He seems to be a young man who hasn't been punched in the face enough. You know.
Very true.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually, ENW, and that worked for both sides. Absolutely, there's a lot of that. I think people just haven't been. Yeah. I mean, I grew up. You just get into fucking fights, and that's how you sorted shit out. Not that I was any good at it or got into a whole lot.
That's
but
what happens
that's
when
just
you
what it
remove
was.
discipline. That's what happens when you remove discipline from, children's.
That's a point. I'm not sure I totally agree, but because I think you mean corporal punishment. But yes, children should be taught from an early age that there are consequences for their actions and that they're not going to be wrapped in bubble wrap and protected from themselves. That if you do something stupid, stuff's going to happen to you.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that.
I do agree. I think inconsistent discipline or overly heavy-handed discipline is a problem, as well. But they definitely do need disciplining. I don't know what it's like in America, but we have a problem here with schools. I know that there's a school in London somewhere that's on strike at the moment because of knives. Students coming into school with knives, and also I think some teachers been attacked or something, like manhandled. I mean, they don't really in the kind of non-private schools here. I just don't know. I just don't know what teachers can do about unruly kids. It's really hard because they literally do not care about consequences. They don't care about reputation. They don't care about the future. How do you deal with people like that, youngsters like that? And it's not, again, it's not even the youngsters' fault. It's just the way society is, the way it's gone. It's tragic.
Yeah, I agree. And here it is based on the school district. So even within each state has its own laws, but each school district is going to have its own policies. And so there are some schools that it's basically like a prison. The kids are just locked in the room and the teacher just tries not to get hurt. And so clearly the kids aren't learning anything, no matter how much money is being spent on their education.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that some schooling is tantamount to child abuse when they put kids into classrooms with other kids who aren't there to learn, or maybe they have mental issues. They're like, they've got trouble at home, so they turn to bullying. They're reckless, or they're like not engaging in the class. That is to put other kids in a room with those individuals to the degree that it affects the education and it affects their psychology. I think that's we need to wake up to that's some kind of child abuse.
I completely agree. And I think maybe we need some reforms to give children more rights.
Yeah, I mean, in America, in France, I believe they are taking that extremely seriously now. I think they're one of the leading countries on it. Like, they're taking bullying and children having their education affected by other kids really, really seriously, and I think that's very important.
I was just going to say, again, just coming back to Japan, not that Japan's perfect by any, like, the bullying here can be just absolutely devastating. There's no doubt about that. But one thing that I've always admired here is that schools don't hire cleaners. It's actually up to the students to keep their school clean. And I've always thought that's a very interesting idea. I like that idea. Just
that's not a bad idea because obviously, that's not a bad idea because obviously they're not going to litter the place they're going to have to clean up, are they?
I think it has merit. But again, there's pros and cons, but I like it.
But yeah, believe me, it's gone. We're falling into absolute savagery over here in terms of teenagers and them being unruly. And as I say, I don't know how teachers do it, to be honest. And having said that, I don't even know how police officers do it, nowadays in this country anyway. It's not an easy job. Not at all, because there's so much lack of respect in society. Now, many people will say, oh, but respect has to be earned. That's their opinion. I'm not talking about why there isn't respect. I'm just saying at the moment We have a society where, you know, so-called authority isn't respected by a large portion of youngsters, and you know, this goes into adulthood, and
It seems to be a very Western thing, though. You know, it just doesn't.
I think you're
happen
right.
over the-
I think
yeah.
you're right. I think it is. I think it's a. Is it to do with the atomization of society? Is it part of? Is it partially that? I don't
Well,
know.
people here are quite atomized, and again, I should probably qualify what I just said. I'm not saying that there isn't unrest with the youth, and that I certainly don't want to give that impression, but it's not to the extent that I see in other countries. Like the lack of discipline, it's just not existent.
I think there's so much going on. I think we've got very mentally ill society, basically, an extremely mentally ill society.
Maybe it depends on the kind of mental illness you have, because this place could be described as mentally ill, but they seem to run okay.
Yeah, I get you. Would you say that maybe we've got an epidemic of narcissism in like the West? Maybe kids
Definitely.
not what?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, I think that's partially it. People are so self-serving, so in need of validation, so in need of getting their own needs met. They're not thinking of others, you know, and they're becoming callous. They're becoming they're very dehumanizing, and we've given. I hate the word. I don't like using the word, but
Oh,
we've
see you,
given
Nudie.
evil.
Good to talk to you, mate.
Take care, Nudie.
Have a good
Love
one.
to have you. We've given evil too much power, you know, in that we don't. I don't think we're harsh enough with people who.
Old man yells at cloud. These young people.
Yeah.
But I hear you, man. Yeah. I understand that opinion more and more, so I think it's definitely a me thing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about other countries, but in America, kids are bombarded by this in the media and at schools, like from an early age, that it's all about you, that nobody else matters. You're a precious little flower, and you know the whole world is there just for you. And that came from the 70s, and it has just gotten worse and worse and worse. And people are always told they have rights, but nobody ever talks about duties and responsibilities. Of course, they've got rights, but with rights come responsibilities.
Marcus, come up and join us, mate.
Yeah, Marcus, come up. Yeah, the music they listen to. Oh God! But it is no. He has a point. He does have a point. I mean, you can map the downfall of society, I believe, to song lyrics and the content of music, and yeah, what are they singing about? What are they actually singing about? I mean, back in the day, before my day, like 50s, 60s, they were probably more kind of folksy, talking about love and happiness and the summertime or whatever.
Mhm.
And now what are they talking about? Being billionaires and, you know, stabbing people and fucking as many bitches as they can. Even the women are turning into gangsters.
You say
you know?
that like it's a bad thing.
Well, it's how you pursue it. That's the problem, isn't it? You know, you should have a bit of finesse about it. You know, yeah. Make it seem like it's magical rather than just
D&W's pickup artistry.
animalistic. We got
Yeah.
IP here.
If you talk about having a stable full of hoes, I mean that's dehumanizing.
Yeah,
Hello, IP.
I'm back. I was already played in, so my phone had died. Thanks for letting me back in.
You're welcome. Does
I
anybody
just
else
wanna
want to
say
come
that
on?
over the New Year's break, I taught myself how to do Rubik's Cube. I just want to boast
Oh.
about that. Thank you very much for your time.
Excellent.
You actually managed to. I've never managed to do one. How long did it
I
take
used to
you?
do it when I was a kid. Then I found a simple system online, and I
Oh,
thought,
right.
"Fuck, that looks interesting." So I bought a cube and I taught myself how to do it.
Because I've met someone who could, you know you get these people who can do it like in a minute, you know, less than a
3
minute.
seconds, dude. There's people who can do
Yeah,
it. in
yeah.
3 seconds.
You know, this is the type of thing I've seen. Like, I was like, well, how the hell do they do that?
Yeah, it's insane.
I remember those when I was a kid. My older siblings had them from when they were kids, and they were like still around the house.
It's not unlike mastering a Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man program or something. To me, it's just a pattern you get to.
Hey,
you know,
don't
master.
downplay what I've accomplished here, mate. This is genius level.
That's right.
Right.
I agree with the comment there. Anything post 80s is BS. Good call on the comments. Now, this has been a very interesting conversation. I've appreciated just listening to the different angles on it all.
I suppose what are your thoughts, guys, for the future? We do go into that a lot here. As Americans, where do you think the world is headed? Do you see this kind of Orwellian future where, America is concentrating on the Western Hemisphere, then you have some like power in Europe and Asia, maybe Africa, and then like you have like 3 or 4 big blocks and like maybe no small countries, do you think America's going to start building an empire now?
Yes, I think we've always been at war with Ingsoc because we've always had Ingsoc as our friends.
What's
I'm saying
Ingsoc?
that kind of a parody, but yeah, I think that it's very hard to tell. We're going into a really chaotic time. It's going to depend upon so many different factors, and it's scary.
I say that there's a big global. I think there's a I don't know. It seems like a big populist uprising is happening globally. Against these global entities that are trying to exert control on everything. I don't know what's going to happen, but
oh, you believe in that whole globalist thing?
Yeah, I think there are.
There are some.
I think there are.
There are things like BlackRock and what's the other one? Those big asset management companies. What's BlackRock and what's the other one? Vanguard, is it?
Yeah,
those
BlackRock,
types of
Blackstone,
things.
and Vanguard, I think, are the top 3.
Yeah, I heard Trump said recently that he's going to stop houses being bought by mega corporations, or I think that would be a good move.
I like that.
They might find a way around that, though, mightn't they?
I was going to say, then he'll redefine mega corporation to exclude Trump, and then he'll go and buy all the houses.
No, it's not just that. The BlackRock will probably just create loads of like little subsidiaries that will buy have little portfolios of property, and then it will go back to BlackRock. Yeah, there'll always be a way around it for the bastards. Brother Marcus, how are you? What would you like to say?
Salutations. Oh no, I just heard you guys were shitting on the youth, and I was like, I want some of that. But, back in my day, things were better. Absolutely.
That's my jam. I've got to get in on that.
Oh dear.
But we've been
not only were they
toward...
better, but I was promised better as well, because I remember Back to the Future.
Right.
And, it looked better than what we've got now.
But haven't we been tending toward globalism ever since the end of World War II?
Oh yeah. I think it's always been there as a possibility. Like there's always been efforts to build big empires and for the centralization of power. I mean, it's always going to be there. I think it's a natural thing for life to move.
Kind of a human phenomenon.
Yeah. But I'm not saying it's good. I just think that's what life does.
Yeah, and then
when we live in a planet with we live in a resource-based existence where people are scrambling around trying to get enough of everything. So yeah, clearly there will be people who would be paranoid or anxious about not having enough for theirs and them, and they'll always want to accrue more and more, for the future.
A scary thing to me is what certain governments have been able to do over vast populations in the past. We're like Soviet Union or whatever, even today's China. But today's technology in the hands of evil governments, that's a scary thought to me.
You know what, brother? We talk about that a lot here. It's absolutely terrifying where we're headed with AI. Now, I know it can have good use in terms of legitimate law enforcement and, getting the bad guys. But we do have to worry about how it could be utilized by tyrannical power, but also by like criminals, terrorists as well, It's
right.
very, very dangerous. And also accidents. Accidents can happen as well. With every leap in technology, we have had accidents. We've had nuclear accidents. We've had a lot of them around the world. So who's to say we won't have a catastrophic, terrible accident with AI as well?
You start putting the guardrails on, and they are.
Yeah. Oh no, we
I
can
mean,
try.
they said this stuff about the internet. Remember that?
Right. But
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're not doing simple things like why haven't they passed a law that all AI generated images have to have a digital watermark in them? I mean, that's just so simple, but
You
yet
see,
nobody's doing
I
it.
agree with you, but I think the problem is, I think a lot of the problems with AI videos and such, I think the American companies are clamping down on it. Yeah, it's harder to make moving videos. You have to kind of, it's harder to make random ones because you can only put 1 or 2 photos on it. It's hard. It's harder now. But I think a lot of people are doing it through like the Chinese ones,
Right.
DeepSeek.
Well, have you seen the latest kerfuffle on Twitter
No.
about getting Grok, like instructing Grok to put bikinis on pictures of women?
And is it? Oh yeah. Some woman tried to sue Grok, right?
Oh, well, this is in the last couple of days. I didn't know if any lawsuits
right.
have been filed, but yeah, I mean, seriously, it's yeah.
I heard that
There you
some
go.
woman has tried to sue Grok for stress and whatever, because there was a picture of her going around in a bikini or something. Yeah.
I think there's multiple lawsuits at play. I don't know if you have the app, Steve, but I got like 3 updates recently, and it's because I think for that issue. Yeah, when I've opened the app and I see like a bunch of people like posting regular photos of themselves, and they're getting Grok to like put them in a bikini or something like that.
Are you talking about the Grok app or the X app?
I have both.
Okay, I've only got the X, so I don't have Grok.
But I noticed
I use Grok on the web.
I noticed they
interface.
put like multiple updates recently, and I think it's because of this issue.
Right.
I've never really.
What about these ads where they have celebrities? I think those are pretty weird. Those, like it'll be Joe Rogan, like you'll see Joe Rogan, AI Joe Rogan spewing an ad for something. That's like totally creepy and out of bounds, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, this type of stuff, deep kind of fake, kind of like imagery has been out for a while. It just wasn't. We weren't just able to access it. Do you remember there was a few videos going around a few years ago of Tom Cruise?
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
And there was also this website called thispersondoesnotexist.com, which was really sad because I thought I saw my future wife on it. But they that has existed for a long time. That website. So this technology has been out there. Now, I've been somewhat sympathetic. Now, Yerfdogs, you said it, and someone else said it recently on one of the streams as well, and I'm quite sympathetic towards it. And that is, I think what they're giving us is like so basic compared to what they actually have. And in many ways, I think what they're giving us is, I think it's quite evident that it's some kind of data collection tool. They're just collecting as much
Well,
data
it's funny
as they
you
can.
should say that because there's this
Now-
thing going around. I think Twitter has just updated their policies,
Right.
which is exactly pertaining to this, and it basically turns Twitter into a training ground for Grok. So part of using the service means that you
Right.
consent to being trained on.
Yeah, that as
Yeah, that's related to Wikipedia or something, or being the new Wikipedia or something.
Also, you should
Yeah,
check your
I
YouTube
think
settings,
they're using it to train the AI, but I think it could even be something else as well. That they're literally taking as much data from people as possible, because they know at the end of the day. Look at Cambridge Analytica. They know that they can influence us with algorithms. They know if the information is power. If they learn enough about how we think, what we say, they can utilize that somehow in the future for reasons of power, for retaining power or keeping power. Yeah. So I think when you look at a lot of these LLMs, Brother Marcus has brought it up, they're very sycophantic. They're basically kiss asses. They tell you you're the best thing since sliced bread, everything you say. And I think what that is doing, because don't forget, this is costing money. All this kind of nonsensical crap people are writing is actually costing them money in data centers. So, you know, a lot of people are doing this for free. Yeah, they're not paying the monthly fee. So what are they getting out of it? And and the fee is often only like 20 quid or £10 if people do pay. So I think they are probably just collecting as much data as possible on people, and then they're going to use it in some way. You know, it's going to benefit them because people are feeding in this. People are feeding in everything about themselves: their medical history, their CV, their political ideas, their philosophy. You know, their thoughts on this or that. You know.
I think China has a big effort in the United States at going after information gathering.
Are you familiar with Rococo's basilisk?
Yeah.
Oh yes, that was going around a few years ago. That was quite interesting. Yeah.
See, that's what I think about AI.
Tell everyone about it who hasn't, because people listening as well. Don't forget.
Okay.
No, don't tell them, because then they're in it.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah, it's a cognito hazard that once you know about it, you're at risk. But if you don't know, then you're safe. And it's if an AI becomes so powerful in the future that it can control everything and create simulations, then anybody who helped bring it about in the past is kind of taken care of. But if you didn't help bring it forward, then it punishes you. And if you're already dead, it resurrects you into a simulation and tortures you sort of in a quasi afterlife. But that's the reason I mention that, is that reminds me of, we're giving all this information to AI and it's out there. They now own that information that we freely gave them, and it's going to be used against us.
And I reckon even if you're not out there, like online, deliberately trying to stop it from happening, I'm pretty sure that the algorithms are at the point where they can basically analyze what you post online and get a pretty good profile of who you are, even if you don't talk about
and what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
And what you're likely to do next.
Yeah.
How you can be seduced and manipulated. How you can be, psychologically manipulated. Yeah. It is actually terrible.
From society.
Or who they should remove, or who they should, yeah. Maybe if it gets that dark. Who is the threat? Who is the threat? Whether it's
imagine when they can predict.
You got muted. But with all these predictive algorithms,
imagine when they can.
We've seen the governments use the financial institutions to coerce people. Like, all they have to do is debank you or say you can't use, the monetary system, and like, you're screwed. And I don't know about other countries, but in America, if you don't use the banks, they consider that a crime. So they're basically criminalizing people's existence through a third party, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Did you just say if they don't use a bank, it's a crime?
That can happen. Like, for instance, there was this woman who owned a small restaurant in a small town, and she didn't make nightly deposits. She would do it like there were so many credit card receipts, but then again, because it was a small town, a lot of people paid in cash. Well, she would wait and make, like, I don't know, once or twice a week deposits. She actually is serving time, or at least did serve time, in federal prison, because the government said that was like money laundering. That she was intentionally deceiving about how much money she was making every night by not making nightly deposits. So if you do a cash only system of more than like $5,000, that is a crime in the United States.
Wow. Okay. I'd be interested. Do you remember the name of the lady involved? I'd like to read that.
I do not remember.
Okay. Or the state? Do you know the state?
I don't recall.
Okay. No worries.
This was several years ago, but I was just so shocked that, she was doing nothing wrong. She had no intent to avoid anything. I mean, she was depositing the money in the bank. It's just that she didn't do it every night.
She was following our convenience.
What was that?
No, all she was doing was following a convenient pattern for herself that she decided. Oh my God.
But this is again why I always tell people you need to volunteer for jury duty. Don't try to get out of it, because as a juror, like, that is the one time in your life that your voice is the most important. You're one of 12 people, and you can decide, whether or not the system can roll over an innocent person or not. I mean, just your one vote, even if 11 say guilty and you say innocent because of jury nullification or whatever else, or just your political statement, like, when you vote, you're just one number among millions. But on jury duty, like, your voice really means something. So if you want to fight back against government overreach, definitely need to. Oh, Brother John asked, did they shoot her? No, they didn't shoot her. And she was like,
and I think to that end, doing jury duty would also expose people to, for what it's worth, a small window into how law actually works. So it might disabuse them of actually what they think is real versus what is real.
Yeah, and knowing the actual facts of the way that the law works. So, like, what is admissible and what's not admissible.
Yep. You remember 12 Angry Men?
Yes,
I do.
Great movie.
One of the best movies ever.
Yep, good stuff. See, back in our day.
Well, what was it? Doug Stanhope had a bit about that. He said if someone's on trial, like, for bringing cocaine into America, and the defense is like, I was forced at gunpoint as a slave to harvest cocaine naked, and they shoved these vials up my buttocks, and that's why I came through the customs. It wasn't actually my will. I was forced to do it. And he was saying if he was on jury, he'd go, same thing happened to me. Not guilty. Does that make me a boomer that I'm fucking quoting Doug Stanhope now?
No, I think he's still. I don't know, actually. I still hear his name get brought up in this corner of the internet, but that's because of the topic he's into. I'm looking forward to AI in the future. I hope it gets better.
Better in what sense?
Wow, the hallucination shit is annoying.
Right.
And I hope they.
I'm just
something called degenerative looping or degenerative repetition. And then there's a whole host of things that it can fuck up in, and if you look at the development boards for the coding thing, they've identified. I can't name them off the top of my head, but I was looking into other ways it can mess up, like the high overconfidence thing, making up citations, making up papers and shit like that, and making up authors like that. They got to fix that.
But again, I think they probably have better ones behind the scenes, for themselves,
Oh,
I
I
think they
agree.
give us the shit.
I think AI is going to be a.
So go ahead.
I think AI is going to be a bust. I think it's like a bubble that's going to not.
I don't know
It's
about
not going to meet its expectations.
I think when it gets, I think it's going to change the world unbelievably, and I think it's going to be just unbelievable. I just can't imagine what it's going to be like in 10 years' time. Now, have you seen the latest, like, Boston Dynamics Atlas 2? Have you seen that robot?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when that gets merged, when these robotics get merged with AI, it's like, come on, man, the world's going to be unbelievable. I'm going to look it up for you now. 1 second.
Well, I watched a video about that AI bubble, and they said the issue isn't anything about the model or the technology. It's the electrical consumption that we can't get enough
I've heard that
online
too.
quick enough to keep going at the pace we're going.
That's
now
why
they are come up with things like quantum computing and stuff like that. But then even quantum computing takes really low temperatures, doesn't it? You have to have really cold processes. So yeah, but they are talking about having
it's cold in space.
Yeah, they're talking about going to space with it. Yeah, exactly. To have the data centers on the moon or like orbiting the Earth.
Wait, what?
I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah.
I mean, I guess
they're talking about sending data centers up to space, basically, and beaming the data down.
Wow.
Like, the Starlink satellites already beam everything down, so it can be done.
True.
They're just talking about putting the data centers up there.
Wow.
Yeah, mainly because of the temperature, I thought. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And it also lowers the risk of sabotage as well.
It lowers the risk of sabotage, and it's something about lowering the risk of errors and all that. Yeah, there's loads of reasons they do it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so
I'm interested also in the solar energy from space angle that they're talking about. That's interesting technology if they can do it.
The Kardashian thing you mean? Is it Kardashian Stage 2?
I don't really know anything about except that, you know, a way to more efficiently use the sun's power by I think using apparatus in space somehow.
okay, well, brother, here's this robot. Yeah, this is AI, the video, but I'll show you the real thing in a minute. But it's the same.
Watching it run is trippy.
Yeah, yeah. So that's actually, Brojo is right. That is actually AI. But let me just find one of the actual real video. Let me have a look. Yeah, here it is. 1 second, I'll get this out.
I agree with Richard. When they're building themselves and changing their own batteries, we're obsolete.
Yeah. So like next month. Here we go. 1 second. Okay.
We see Atlas as the ultimate tool. We know that it's going to be going into environments and doing tasks alongside people for a long time. And so with Atlas, we just see work changing. And we've designed Atlas to work alongside people and to drop into and out of person-centered environments so that it's a tool.
Guys, we had an exclusive opportunity to talk with Boston Dynamics about their new Atlas robot that's blowing up right now.
This is our Atlas robot, and one of the things that makes it unique is its head, which both looks different and also has all of the cameras and compute fully integrated. So this is actually a modular head with the sensors and computer on board, has 360-degree sensing, and we're the first humanoid robot to have a certifiable safety system. So we've learned from the autonomous vehicle industry about how you can really reliably detect people and hazards around the robot, and the robot has that built in, because we know that to deploy this for real, you need to get the factory safety officers on board. You need to have a system that's designed for that from the beginning. So we've, taken that safety very seriously from the start. And if you look at the legs, this has some passive cooling, and it is also spaced out so you don't have pinch points. This is something that you could actually expect someone to use in the field with minimal training, and to be a tool that they don't need a whole lab to deal with. Elbows can go all the way. The shoulders, I think, have a range of motion up about here. The legs can go almost all the way around. Likewise with the hips, and then the torso and head can both spin around completely. So you can see things even like handles that are built into the torso so that a customer in the field can move the robot easily. The batteries are removable so that the robot can swap its own batteries. And so if you're running the robot in a lab setting, you can swap the batteries yourself and keep continuous uptime. We've got like power, Ethernet, other common ports on the back. The head is also completely self-contained and modular, so you could remove the head, keep it on your desk as a separate computer, do development there, and then put it on the robot if you want. Or as sensors and compute get better, you can upgrade the head and keep the same robot.
So if you want to disengage these things when they go rogue, you just have to run behind it and pull the batteries out. That's the way, huh?
Yeah, if robots go rogue, which I think we're a long way away from, I'd recommend a good net.
Yeah.
As more sophisticated models get trained using NVIDIA processors or through Google or wherever, Atlas is going to benefit from that. We also have some opportunity to improve the battery life on Atlas with more efficient compute on board. We've built this amazing athletic intelligence that helps our robots move through the world in incredible ways and makes for some amazing YouTube videos. And over the last couple of years, AI techniques have improved enough that we can start to do manipulation, have the robot touch the world, move objects around, understand the world the same way that people do. So Atlas can lift up to 110 pounds instantaneously and closer to 70 kind of continuously. So Atlas can lift these really heavy loads. It can operate for 4 hours on its battery life, swap its own battery so it can work continuously.
Once this thing learns a skill, that information, that knowledge base is transferable to all other units in the fleet. Is that correct? One robot learns, information passes to all of them in the entire fleet.
Exactly. And
that's crazy.
And that lets our customers adapt their production line on the fly. So you can have this fleet of robots that has all of the institutional knowledge of how to build everything your factory makes. And if the product changes tomorrow, you can just flash reprogram them, and then you're starting to produce something new. Atlas has these joints that can spin all the way around. And so we're inspired by the human form, but not limited by it. And that means that Atlas can move faster than a person through different tasks, much more ergonomically. It also helps the robot be a lot more reliable. We don't have any cables flapping around or any cables that are bending. Everything's integrated into these joints that can move in really incredible ways.
It feels like to me we're getting dangerously close to a world where these things are going to be incredibly capable to do things all by themselves. How do you see these units coexisting with human beings in the future?
So we're not trying to make a robot person. We're trying to make this tool that's relatable, that's understandable, and the choice of the head kind of whimsical and inviting.
There you go.
But by saying whimsical and inviting, he means we're trying to avoid the uncanny valley where people are creeped out.
Yeah. Atlas 2 running, though, that was crazy when it started running. Let me just have a look.
What scared me the first time I saw it was one of those robot dogs that's set up for a police tool, guns attached and everything. Those things are scary.
Yeah, watching it skip and run, that's trippy. I remember those dogs too.
Yeah, this video is 9 months old and it's showing it, but I thought it only came out a few days ago, the actual robot. But anyway, here it is.
How many soldiers would you need to take over the world?
Yeah, this is it. I'm glad I don't go to nightclubs anymore, because not only would I have to be worried about some Spanish fucker dancing and stealing the women, but now I've got robots that can dance better than me as well. So, yeah.
You're white, dude. You can't dance. Let's get real.
But anyway, that is the fucking robot that's going to take over the world. So there you go. Dalton Tom says, holy shit. And Richard says, I'm still not impressed. There you go.
Yeah, well, give it a few years.
Yeah. Exactly. Give it a few years. Oh dear. Oh dear.
That's
Can
a
change
good
its own
question, though.
batteries.
Like price versus return. How expensive are the robots, and how many human soldiers could they replace? I can see them augmenting human soldiers, but I think the one benefit to humans is that we're going to be the cheap labor of the future. Like people that don't want to hire, to buy robots are just going to hire humans.
Well, wait until the robots start making the robots, and it's going to become cheap to make them as well.
Well, yeah, and there are some. I know a guy that is a industrial robotics maintenance tech, and yeah, they already are, but they're highly specialized usually.
Well, even more scary is wait until the robots start to make humans.
No, robots will be cheaper than humans because you only have to train. You don't even have to train them individually. You just write the software, right? And also you can reuse them like for a long time, and they don't get fatigued, So I think it will be cheaper to have an army of robots than an army of humans.
AI, robotic, human.
After a while, there'll be some kind of economy of scale where it becomes cheaper to have robots.
I wonder if we're going to see a resurgence of wireless energy transmission, because right now they're limited by the batteries. But like if you electrified like a cable in the floor, and they were just as long as you're within 200 feet, you're able to draw the current. Like they could go on 24 hours a day and only stop every once in a while.
I mean, fuck knows. I don't know much about that wireless stuff, but fuck knows they might be able to beam down fucking energy or something. Who knows what they'll be able to do?
Well, that's what they're trying to do. That's one of their plans.
I read that as well, but it just sounds too fucking science fiction for me. But I've read that they're trying to beam down energy from fucking space.
Wasn't Tesla working on that? Wasn't that one of his?
Yeah,
things?
that's where I was going with the Wycliffe Tower.
Yeah.
But then they also have it though where they can run a single rail down embedded in the road, and then electric cars can like just drive over it and be constantly pulling energy from it.
Yeah, I've seen that with the convoys or lorries as well, the trucks. They're doing it for that as well. So you can have like unmanned, lorries basically driving around on the motorways for fucking hundreds of miles without a driver, basically.
I recommend watching Thunderfoot stuff on that. He pretty much but he presents an alternative point of view, which is he debunks it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I love
well,
it.
I like the idea.
He's really good. He's a good counterbalance to all the stuff that Musk is doing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I think is terrifying is obviously you've got the mighty robots, but also the micro ones. Tiny little robots that can creep under your door and shit, spying on you, fucking who knows what else, injecting you with something when you're asleep.
I saw something as well where apparently even without a camera, if you can use a Wi-Fi router to spy through walls.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can kind of see where people are because the energy field is disrupted when people move around.
Fuck that scares the shit out of me.
This is Minority Report, man. The fucking robot spiders and shit.
I think if we knew what they really could do or what is on the agenda, we would be terrified. Like, as in, like the potential of it all.
Do you guys watch those interrogation videos, like true crime and all that?
I love them. I haven't. Me and brother Marcus were addicted to them for a while. Yeah.
Because I one thing that quite frankly scares the shit out of me when every time I watch them, at some point in the conversation, it always comes down to, well, we tracked your phone and we know everything about you. I'm like,
yeah. Well, I made a jokey kind of sci-fi fucking, what do you call it, audio series on the channel a few years ago, and part of it was they put out this like wave energy that basically, when you left the house, you disturbed the wave energy, right? That was the field of energy. And basically, when anything happened, all they had to do was, from the satellite, pinpoint the time when it happened. And then they could see the disturbance in the field of energy. And then all they had to do was rewind the clock, as it were, and look at the kind of silhouette moving backwards. And they could see from what house it came from and stuff, But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that type of shit is possible, at some point. That they won't need cameras,
Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of tracing
hold on
program.
you were a police officer, brother. Do you know much about the satellite imagery you could that they use to investigate things? Was it good?
I don't know about the satellites, just CCTV.
Or just CCTV? Okay. Yeah.
And this is
You
London
hear
just-
you hear all manner of stories that satellite is like watching real time fucking CCTV. It's that good now, if they want to. You hear these stories. I don't know if it's true. But...
London's like camera central, isn't it? Like you guys are just everywhere you go.
Yeah. And we've got
But
facial
satellites-
recognition everywhere now as well.
Oh, jeez.
The thing is with satellites, there's a number, limit to the number that are in orbit, and then they only have so wide a field of view for certain, resolution.
Oh, yes. And the atmosphere as well gets in the way, doesn't
Right.
it? Like, so yeah.
Although
Clouds.
all you have to do is go to different wavelengths other than visual, and you can get through the clouds.
Yeah. Take your umbrella outside, guys. Get a big golf umbrella. So
Metal foil, golf umbrella.
Wrap yourself from head to toe.
I
in
worry
foil.
about
Yeah.
privacy concerns. I mean, if they can even look through masks to do facial identification. So
no,
we don't
they
have
probably
privacy.
only need a few. Like they probably don't even need your whole face. They probably need like one eye, to find out
it's-
who you are. Yeah.
It's both eyes, the tip of your nose, and your mouth. I think either the mouth or the chin. And
Yeah,
like
but I
the
reckon it will get that
point-
good. It will get that good eventually that they won't need your whole face to identify you. They'll be able to identify you off, and that maybe.
Can't they also tell by your gait, like the way you walk?
Yes.
Yes, I heard that as well.
Yeah, very
AI
definitive answer.
Yeah,
It's an AI
Mr. Copper.
program.
Height and weight.
I also heard that there has been this. I've definitely heard this. I don't know if it's true, but there have been cases where people have shown their hands online, and there is like AI that can like cameras. If it's high definition enough, they're able to see the fingerprint and make a silicone version of,
Yeah.
of your finger. You've heard that as well.
Huh.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that, but if that's true, that's fucking shit.
Well, you can imagine it being true, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to
absolutely,
start wearing gloves
absolutely.
on the internet. Whenever I'm on the internet,
Well,
I'm gonna
it would
wear
have to
gloves.
be basically what it means is get a shitty early 2000s webcam if you're going to
There
be
you
going
go.
on
Yeah,
camera.
yeah.
Yeah. All these idiots with their iPhone 17 Pro Max are fucking themselves up.
That's a great point, actually. Any video you take of yourself, just fucking do it on one
Yeah,
of those
yeah.
clam phones.
I've heard that, but that is terrifying if that is true. That like, if the cameras are too good, this AI can fucking mimic your fingerprints, and
What if they can mimic a retinal scan?
well,
Well,
yeah,
if you travel, most countries they'll take your retinal scan and they'll take your fingerprints as well.
yeah, I mean, we are getting to the stage where it's going to depend on your DNA somehow, and you better hope that it's somehow DNA entangled with the fact that you're alive, because otherwise there's going to be a lot of people chopping people's hands off, and getting access to fucking shit,
Yeah, that was an episode.
Yeah, you see that in the movies a
That
lot.
doesn't sound horrifying.
They'll probably be plucking people's eyeballs out and putting them in freezers and just keeping them there and taking them out every time they want to get an Uber Eats or something.
That's all right. Boston
Again,
Dynamics
Minority
will
Report,
regenerate
man.
eyeballs.
Is it? Yeah. Minority Report. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a CSI episode where a guy made a silicon mold of somebody's hand and then started framing him for murder. So what's going to happen when with all this technology of you're not going to know DNA, you can't question DNA, and then we
I
find out
suppose-
actually
Yeah. You can.
Yeah.
I think, and the thing is, I was going to say it's going to come to the case where you're going to have to carry a body cam around all the time and leave it turned on so people know, But then again, that can be mimicked with, fake fucking AI camera footage. So
I
what
think
is
that would
gonna-
work in the favor of defense more than prosecution, because the defense could get to the stage where it could argue, look, prosecution hasn't proven beyond a reasonable doubt that these are genuine photographs or genuine
Yeah,
prints.
yeah. There is
Right.
that. There is that.
But I fear it's going to be like DNW says, where you got to prove your innocence all the time because it's so easy to fake that you got to constantly be broadcasting and live streaming all your data, including your biorhythms and everything else, just to prove that you didn't do anything.
That might happen. It might be that they have like a government site. It's not necessarily going public, but it goes to like some government data center where you constantly stream where you are at any one moment. You know.
Well, in America, I think you're going to have to pay for a subscription service to it's going to be something like a VPN where you store all the data. That way, if you're ever accused of anything, you can say, oh, no, let's go back and look at this. Oh, see, I wasn't.
Thank God I'm online doing these streams so much, you know. That's the other thing.
I'm picturing this system where, like, from up above, they can, like, maybe heat, I don't know, by a heat signature or something, where there's just a total recording of every person on the level of the surface and where they are, what they're doing, like an outline of them that you can see, whether they're sleeping with somebody. Is that the kind of picture that you guys are painting?
That's what the British guy was
saying. Is that the picture that you're painting?
Yeah.
Yeah. But also it would be recorded somehow, could be referred to in real time, or you could go back and, wow, it's incredible.
Yeah, we heard about that. The shooting in Portland. We spoke about it earlier. Sad. But anyway, fuck, man. More existential angst for me.
You love it.
In a way I do, but in another way, it's like, I mean, we all like a bit of like pondering what the future is going to be like, but we just hope they don't manhandle us in the old people's home when they're wiping our ass.
Basically, that's pretty much where it's at, eh?
We want these robots to be kind to us when they're wiping our bottom, in the old people's home. Yeah.
See, I wonder why the college professors in America don't think about that. In the past, it's always been, well, we're kind to the youth because they're going to be taking care of us when we're old. And now we've been polluting their minds so much, telling them how everybody's horrible and they got to look out for themselves.
Seriously.
Like when we get old, they're going to take all of our retirement funds and say, live on dog food.
You know what? That's a very interesting point. And it's one of the reasons that I probably won't be returning to the West when I get to that age, because, and maybe it's a little bit different from what you were saying, but because as a white guy, I'm not sure I could be treated very well. How's that for a controversial opinion?
That's scary. No, but it's true.
Yeah.
Well, the best thing you can do, and we can all hope for, is that we'll have an AI robot maid, who will look after us, when we get really old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even a medical maid.
Well, sorry, what'd you say?
A maid that can perform all the medical duties needed. Yeah.
All the medical duties, and maybe some extras as well if the wife's not around,
Right. Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I never thought
they could park next to you if you have OCPD or, imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it will. These things are possible. But then again, guys, we haven't even touched on genetic engineering and all that shit that's coming in down the road as well. So what a world I can't. What a time to be alive. People could complain a lot about the world, but I have to admit, it is exciting it is exciting in a way. I feel like I'm in it is an amazing time to be alive, just from a sense of observation as well, like being awestruck about what is going on. As scary as it is, it's still bloody amazing.
No, I agree with
and what I've just said is also worrying, because there are some crazy bastards in the Silicon Valley. I've heard this. They kind of don't care about the consequences of what they're doing, because they know everything could fuck up and they could end civilization horrifically. But they're kind of getting a boner with that power, because they're thinking, wouldn't that be amazing just to watch anyway? I've heard that as well. Have you ever heard that, guys? Have you ever heard that kind of sentiment? I've heard Elon Musk, I think, was saying that. Yeah.
It's accelerationism, that the world's going to crap, so they might as well light the fire.
They might as well take a chance. They might as well make a bet on it and try and fix it. If it doesn't, well, at least they'll enjoy the fireworks.
Yeah.
Well, of course, what's his name? Emilie Torres, Dr. Torres.
Right.
He's big on this.
Yeah.
The whole Tisk Rail thing, and how basically it seems like a lot of these guys, they basically have the point of view, well, it's going to be done, so I might as well be the one to do it.
Yeah, and better me than somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before here, right? How basically the race is on and opting out just isn't an option anymore.
No, there isn't. I firmly believe that there's no option of backing down with AI. I think in many ways they knew that. They were just, it was PR, you know? It was just PR. They were pretending, you know, to be concerned. Maybe they also didn't want to scare the general public, you know, by admitting there's nothing we can do. We have to keep going, because if we don't get it, the Chinese will get it. And we don't want them to get it before us, you know?
Have you seen any of the simulations on what would happen if there was an AI outbreak and how it could end civilization?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about that on here before.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the one where they start talking to each other. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Where, yeah.
In that weird language.
Yeah.
I just wonder how it'll
Do
be
you know
like
what?
in.
I don't know if any of you have ever known computer scientists, but I have.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can see why we're in a lot of trouble, actually, because they are hyper focused on, you know, their technical know-how, and they just don't. I had some friends that were computer scientists, and they did very well in it, but they never watched the news. They never fucking thought about philosophy or politics. You know, wasn't on their agenda. All they thought about was computer programming and computer games, basically.
Well, didn't you say the other day, D&W, it's like Revenge of the Nerds?
It is a bit like Revenge of the Nerds, yeah. But that sounds. I don't think they're necessarily sadistic either. I think most of them didn't really think about anything, and I think this feeds into something else we've spoken about on this channel a lot: the kind of social hierarchies and how a lot of corporations are run by literal psychopaths, you know. And so when you've got a literal psychopath running the show, and he wants power and money, yeah, and you got some autistic genius, you know, doing all the work for him. The autistic genius is the worst thing that you can have when you've got a psychopath at the helm, because the autistic genius is just thinking about the job. He's not thinking about the wider consequences. You know what I mean? And the psychopath is literally the one telling him what to do. So therefore, what the autistic genius has been told what to do isn't always in society's interest, because there's a psychopath telling him what to do, you know.
But that's very real. I'm not going to name them, but I know a couple of hedge funds with exactly that arrangement, where the guy at the helm's just a nut crazy guy, but the guys on the computer desk, on the desk running the trading desks, mate, they are just autistically but they're brilliant.
I worked in corporations. I made cartoons about this before, just taking the piss out of it all, because it is like that, you know. In corporations, you get like kind of the psychopathic like management at the top, then you get like the autistic technical people, and then you get like the kind of, if you like, people focused or empaths in the sales team, perhaps, if they're not psychos as well, or the customer service, you know.
Why not both? They're probably both.
Or the market, but you know what I mean. You get the kind of people, the people skilled individuals and the technical skilled individuals in the workforce, and then you get the psychopaths up there pulling the strings, you know. It is as bleak as that in the corporation, I'm afraid.
And I've heard a couple of horror stories where they actually pulled one of these trading guys off the desk to go to a client meeting, and it didn't go very well.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, Richard agrees with me. It's very sad, actually. Very sad. I mean, in some ways, I think this is maybe too much to go into now, but I do think some autistic people, I don't necessarily know if they have a disorder from having spoken to a lot of them. I think there's some that do, like non-verbal kids who can't, you know, who are aggressive and, you know, stuff. I mean, that's a type of autism. But then you get these high-functioning autists, and they call it a disorder. But sometimes you talk to them and you think a lot of them are extremely well-meaning. And you might call them naive, but I think some of them are actually very nice people, very caring. Yeah. And they actually, you would call it naivety, but actually, in some ways, these are the perfect human beings, because they're not nasty people and they're really intelligent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard that autism may actually be a step in human evolution, and how space travel and stuff that's going to be required.
I'm kind of warming to that, but as I said, I don't think all autists are in the same boat. I think they're lumping it in together, and I don't think it's as simple as to say they're all autistic. I think there's other stuff going on, you know.
Well, I know this little kid, you know, just through friends and stuff. He's 3 years old, and obviously on the spectrum. Like, he's been diagnosed, and he's very clearly on the spectrum. But there are just sometimes just flashes of fucking genius with the kid. Like, he just, I don't know. He, like, for example, he'll ramble on in English for a couple of minutes, and it's just like, holy shit! It's really just bizarre. Their brains, I think, are obviously just wired so differently. So
You see,
differently.
I have a theory, right, that some of it is just it takes them a lot longer to mature their brain, because like they're not getting the social thing, because a lot of them, look, they're highly intelligent and they say they have a problem socializing, but I literally think they're highly intelligent beings who just think people around them are idiots. Because why are people acting so stupid around me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
Does that make me autistic?
That is part of it. Well, I did wonder sometimes, Jeff, in a good way, you know, because you are an
I've been
intelligent
feeling a
guy.
little autistic ever since I came in the room here.
Now, the other thing is, I think there is something about human brains taking a long time to mature. Okay. Now, if you look at it, some of these autistic folk, they seem to mature slower socially than others, right? And if they're high functioning, they get to a point where they can actually mix with others very well and be very high functioning. Now, that could be just that their brain has taken longer to mature because their brain has more going on in it than other people, if you know what I mean. Because they say that about humans, for example, our brain takes a long time to mature because it's got so much going on. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it might be a case that the longer the brain takes to mature, the more likely they'll be classified as autistic when they're younger, because, you know, they haven't reached a point of maturation that others have. But the point is their brain is still developing, and it may be that their maturation happens later, and they're still soaking up things, as it were, as a youngster. If that made any sense.
But there's the spectrum is obviously pretty broad. Like, you know, you could be minorly on the spectrum, but there's no discernible differences in your behavior.
I mean, they used to call it extreme male brain syndrome. So
really? Is that what they call it?
Yeah. So then that made me wonder, well, is there an extreme woman brain syndrome?
Mate,
You know,
someone's going for a piss. Might want to mute your mics.
Yeah, whoever that is, I'll mute it. IP, I think. IP, quite literally. Anyway, now, what was I going to say? It may be that, yeah, there's an extreme male brain syndrome. That's what they used to call autism, because it was very logical. It's about being extremely logical. All right. Now, maybe there is like an extreme female brain, but what would that be? Extremely emotional? I don't know.
Yeah, woke.
Oh, okay. We're getting controversial now. But why isn't there? But why isn't there one? I mean, why is it that? I mean, it's probably debunked now. It's probably not the case that autistic people are deemed more logical than other people. But if it is, maybe Gaia can tell me. If autistic people think more logically in general, is there an alternative where people are just hyper emotional in their thinking? And what is that called? Maybe it's called
neuroticism, isn't it?
Maybe it's like borderline personality. I don't know what it is, but
just neurotic.
Yeah, but yeah, it can be.
That's what I was going to say.
Neurosis. Yeah. But that's yeah. But I don't know. People can get out of neuroticism, can't they? That can be caused by psychological trauma. I'm talking about. I suppose I'm asking if there's a lifelong trait, like that could be someone could be put into a some kind of I don't know if I call it a disorder, but a label that you could be given if their brain was more emotional than average people, you know.
How much does
hypersensitive?
Does Europe have the same rates of autism as the United States?
Yeah, I think so. Now, actually, Downton Tom says hypersensitive is a thing. Now, funnily enough, there are these individuals called highly sensitive individuals, but I believe a lot of them are autistic as well. So it may be that autism was unfairly labeled as just a kind of male thinking brain. It may be that it's just, I think actually what they've moved towards is calling it all neurodivergence now. And basically the brain is just different to the average. And that's all it is. It may be, anyway, I don't know. I'm thinking it's the labeling has changed. It's maybe just called neurodivergence now or something. Gaia says, you are explaining part of the reason why there is such a smaller diagnosis of female autistics. Like you said, the history comes from this hyper male brain idea. Okay, Thank you. Maybe you could come on and tell us about that, Gaia. That would be good. Maybe before we close down for the night, because it's getting late, very late here. But anyway, Gaia, do you want to come on and tell us about that before we close down?
Yeah, I'm starting to fade myself.
I'll go ahead and bow out. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, buddy. We'll come back again. It was good to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Okay, buddy. Well, thank you for being
Thank you
here.
for having me.
Yeah, come back again.
Take care. I have to figure out how to exit.
I'll remove. Oh, there you go. He's gone. Gaia, are you able to come on to let us know about that? I don't know if he is. I'll give him another couple of minutes to try and answer us. If he doesn't, we will end the show.
That was an interesting discussion, mate. And again, I'm very sorry that you found out about your friend halfway through.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for that. Richard says he's proud to be a right brain autistic person. Okay, good for you. Doubting Thomas says hypersensitive individuals are hyper aware to every little stimulus. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, it doesn't look like Guy is coming on, so we will end the show.
Cheers,
it was a
mate.
good one. It's a shame it got bitten in half there, but yeah, it was a good one.
Okay, mate.
Anyway, we'll come back another night soon. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks, Jeff.
Take
Take
easy,
care,
mate.
everybody. Bye bye. Bye bye.